Call to order the first meeting of the Redevelopment Commission for 2017. Welcome everyone. Start off with a roll call, and Brian Deppy, Paul Buning, here. Keith Fox, here. Danny Claude, here. Richard Wertz, here. Bob Hukins present, so we have a quorum. First item of business is the approval of the minutes of the December 20th, 2016 meeting. Approved. Okay, so we have a motion by Deputy, second by Buning. Any discussion? Those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed, same sign. Approved. Next item of business is the election of officers of the Redevelopment Commission for the next year. I nominate Bob Hukins. Second. We have a motion and a second. Any discussion?
I suggest the nominations be closed.
Appreciate that. Thank you.
Better be than me.
I've been lobbying hard for this job this year. Anyway, those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion approved. Thank you very much for the confidence. Thank you. Next officer is Vice President.
Nominate Richard Wertz.
Motion for Richard Wertz.
Second.
Second by Buning. Any discussion? Those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Congratulations, Richard. Finally, last but not least, certainly is the title and position of Secretary, and looking for a motion for appointment of Secretary, or election of Secretary.
Appoint E.J. Deppy.
Second. Okay, motion by Word, second by Fox. Any discussion? Those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion approved. So we'll carry on as we have done. Old business, I don't see any on the agenda. I'm sure there's going to be some things we've have been talking about that will come up in the meeting. And with that, we'll just go ahead and move right into the new business section, starting off with the resolution 2017-01. And Krista, I'll let you.
Sure. So every year we pass a resolution for utilities and maintenance expenses for the year. This dollar amount is what we've used the last several years. We don't typically spend all of it. This covers utilities, mowing, maintenance, those things like that, the parking lots that we own. And then also, until we also own the 55 West Madison Street, so there's insurance and carrying costs for that as well. So this would cover those expenses for the year.
Okay. This will be one of those going to require public hearing. Okay, so what we need is a motion to read this resolution by title only.
So moved.
Second. Okay, a motion and a second. Any discussion? Those in favor of the motion say aye. Aye. Those opposed, same sign. Motion approved, and we'll now declare a public hearing for the resolution 2017-01 regarding the $35,500 for utilities and maintenance expenses for 17. See anybody jumping up to talk about this or say anything? So I'll declare the public hearing closed and ask for a motion to approve the resolution.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, motion by Deputy and second by Fox.
Question.
Yes.
Krista, could you, when you have time, get a list of those properties to the RDC members?
Sure.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions or comments? Those in favor of the motion to approve the resolution say aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion approved. Next order of business is the resolution 2017-02, and again, this is one that we do each year about this time for the legal and financial fees and expenses related to 2017 projects. Krista, just carry on with this here.
So this covers our legal fees and then also any professional fees. Sometimes we have some analysis done of the TIF districts and circuit protections. So this is all inclusive of any professional fees that we might need for the year. This is the dollar amount we've also used for the last several years.
Okay. Once again, what we'll need on this is a resolution, a motion to approve this by title only, to read by title only, and then we'll conduct a public hearing.
So moved.
Second. Okay, so we got a motion by Deputy and a second by Fox to read by title only. Any discussion? Those in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. This motion is approved, and we'll now offer this out for public comment. There being none, I'll declare the public hearing closed and ask for a motion to approve the resolution.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, so we have a motion by Wertz and a second by Duny, and any discussion? Those in favor of approval of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. This motion is approved. So we'll move into Resolution 2017-03, and this is the appropriation for the $200,500 for the Frechette Eye Clinic. And I'm open for any updates on this.
Okay, and just quickly before we move into that, Rob, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think we need to formally appoint you as our legal counsel for the year as well. Don't we usually do that in January? Okay, good. That's not pretty bad.
So we'll back up here and ask for a motion for approval of Robert H. F. So our legal counsel for this.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, and is there any discussion? Those in favor of approval, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Welcome back, Council. Now we're into the update on the Frechette Eye Clinic. I know the last month it was understood we were going to engage a firm to kind of do an analysis of the feasibility of going up to some additional height on that property. I don't think that has been accomplished at this point with the holidays and so forth. But we do have an update. It appears in the form of an updated rendering. So
I can't get it on show. Anyway, we do. So I just received this. This shows. I get it to shrink on the screen. I apologize. This shows the updated version. Instead of a story and a half, this is 2 stories and a half. This would match the roof lines of the 2 adjacent buildings. I did just receive this design last week, and so we do not have any revised cost estimates back yet on the proposed design. So at this point, I would suggest if there's still interest in pursuing cost estimates for a taller design, that we table this until we have those estimates back.
Krista, is this a Danny Causey design?
It is.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so he basically took that first floor and then added a taller second story and then a parapet wall to make it match the adjacent buildings so that you wouldn't see the roof lines of the adjacent buildings to the west and the south.
Krista, does this attach to the Bemis and the Wadsworth buildings?
Yes.
Has Linda Frechette seen this yet?
Yes, she has.
Okay.
According to Danny, she's,
Your first look? Okay.
yeah, I just got it last night myself, so, but according to Danny, she has seen it and likes the look of it. It's just a matter of getting the estimates back and
Okay.
some more due diligence as far as a contractor and I think we should have an architect look at it as well.
I think the understanding that would be paid out of our professional fees. We would garner that expense. And, okay, I think we'll just table this for the time being, and then hopefully we'll have an update in terms of maybe the feasibility of doing it and the pricing of it as well by the next month. So, any questions? I like the rendering of it.
Mm-hmm.
So So you say it went up two and a half stories?
Yeah, so originally it was,
Okay.
at that location, it was the same height as across the street at Jeff Street Pub, so it was actually a 3-story building. It was taller, it was that corner piece that we've been talking about. So this would not make it taller than the other buildings, but it would make it match the
Okay,
line of the adjacent buildings on both sides.
okay. All right,
From an aesthetic look, I think it makes it downtown more of a whole what we've done, especially across the street.
mhm. Okay. And have a shell basically upstairs then. I guess the roof would go all the way up too, wouldn't it?
Yeah, I mean, those are the things that the architect would have to take this design and do the actual engineering to see what could be supported and whether or not it stays 1 story with basically a facade wall that is false, or if we would actually have to construct a 2nd story to support the weight of the facade and the roof line. So that's where your costs really come into play for the amount of work that would need to be done.
Very good, thank you. All right, moving on to resolution 2017-04 is the resolution relating to the payment of the 2015 TIF bond.
Correct, so each year, there's 2 payments that are made on the TIF bond that was approved in 2015, and this is the first of 2 payments that would be required. And that is due here shortly, so we would need to act on this today, please.
That's a total. isn't
The
it?
total, the annual total, yes.
Okay, so we won't need a resolution to pay the payment due mid-year then?
No, this includes both of those.
Okay. So what we need at this point then is a motion to read by title only.
So
Motion by Deputy and second by Duny. Any discussion? Those in favor of approval of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. That is approved. We'll conduct a public hearing on the resolution for the payment of the bond, TIF bond payments for 2017. Okay, being none, we'll declare the public hearing closed and ask for a motion to approve the resolution.
I move we pay our bills.
second.
Any discussion? Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign, and that motion's approved. So, we'll move into item E, which is the Shell Building update, and I know we've got some updates this month, and, Richard, I'll start off with you, and then I know we have Chris King here from Redevelopment, and Charlotte and Fred are with us as well today.
We have met, and I'm gonna ask Chris to come up and give you a little bit of insight to the site that we have selected and are moving forward with the preliminaries.
Yes, Chris King from Bond Construction, and on screen right now, you see our proposed site plan for the new shell building project. If you look, the darker box where the building is, you can see is 50,000 square foot footprint. At this point, we're showing the ability to quadruple the size of that building to go up to 200,000 square feet. We're really looking to design with the future in mind, so as far as our grading plan and everything we've worked through at this point, we'll be building the building pad up to 200,000 square feet, and also doing the detention as well to provide for that future build-out. Had an opportunity to meet with the city and work through some of the planning for the project, and we're looking at extending sewer to the north of the property, also with the new road that you see, which is actually just north of PCT&A. We would extend utilities along that road as well to be able to service the additional 52 acres that's available there for other development. Had a good conversation with PCT&A about closing their drive, which you see there on the north end of their property, just south of the new road, and then giving them new access on a new road that will be constructed there. So I'd be happy to answer any questions regarding the site plan or any questions about that.
You know, at what point do we, I know the city is going to plat this, At what point does that take place? In other words, what initiates that formal action?
We would submit the information for that, and we've had some conversations about looking at the entire 70-acre parcel and moving through the process of doing that as well, so that we're really planning for that. We're moving a step in the future.
Planning for the whole section?
So when someone wants to do something on that property, that's one less step they have to go through. We're also looking at a master plan for the entire 70-acre parcel and looking into what we can do from a drainage plan perspective as well.
For the RDC, a ballpark of numbers, the building and site work is approximately 2.5 million, and the road is about 500,000. And those all are plus or minus approximately preliminary.
Richard, would you recall how that compares to the prior one?
Chris could, it's page 1.8.
Yeah, the last project was about 1.3 million, and the biggest differences between this project and that project, we're dealing with a larger site by almost 50%. We're also looking at doing building pad up to that 200,000 square feet, so we've got quite a bit more earthwork on this property. Also, we're working with the city, we're gonna go ahead and put in additional landscaping and utility extensions to really set up the project for the future. So it's a much more extensive project than we did last time around. From a building perspective, we're gonna be about the same size building. We're also evaluating a different facade type for the building. We've talked about potentially using architectural metal panels. It's a very clean, modern look for the building that adds a lot of flexibility, so we're working through that right now as well.
Plus the land.
Yes.
So on this section here, we're looking around 15 acres.
Yeah, the entire project, which would include the road right-of-way wells as well, is about 15 acres.
Okay.
And that's plus or minus until we finalize that.
And the price of the land is the same as before, in 3 years to close the project.
Chris, did you want to mention the financing structure that we discussed at the meeting and the possibility to explain that a little bit?
Sure, yeah, the previous project, we financed that project, and the last several of these show building projects we've done, we've worked with a financing partner, Redevelopment. So we had an opportunity to meet with Richard and with Bob Shaftsall and talk about working with that partner. He specializes specifically in municipal financing, and some of the benefits to that would be that it removes the tax issue from property taxes would not be part of the project. He would really serve as an intermediary between us and the Redevelopment Commission. The agreements would be with him, our agreements would be with him, and the Redevelopment Commissions would be there too. So at this point, we're evaluating whether that makes sense for the project, and I believe Rob should have received all those documents there to take a look and see if that makes sense.
So that's an option.
It is an
that
option.
we would have to consider then at that. Okay. Any projected timeline on?
We're quite honestly, now that we've worked through the issues with the location of the drive and the engineering, we would be in a position to really bring next month, if everything from a financing perspective is in line, we could bring the project next month and look to break ground this spring. So I think from a timing perspective, we're still on that projected timeline.
Any comments, Counselor? Okay. Comments from the Linville family at all? I think we're moving along on it at this point. It looks like, again, I think the big step that we had to wait on was making sure that the owners of the property south were in agreement. And my understanding that they are, as you stated, and that's big because that could have created a lot of issues. Even one, we could even use this site, given the hill that's a little farther north of that. So that hopefully resolves that issue. Okay, so I I think it's probably your intent to meet again, or just, Richard, I
Yes,
appreciate.
we hope to have it next month.
Okay. Any questions of anybody? Okay, Chris, appreciate the update.
Thank you.
Okay.
At some point, we're gonna need to make a decision on which firm we choose to market the property as well. I know that we've had interest from two different entities that are interested in helping us with that. So as part of our budgeting and that resolution that we have passed, so we had passed a $100,000 resolution in 2016 for the carrying costs. Because there's no contract associated with that, that wasn't carried over into 2017, so you'll see that on your February agenda. I think we should also probably start to think about the marketing of the property now that we have some fairly firm plans in place, that we can start getting that out there and see if there's any interest in it even before construction begins. So I'd like to add that to the agenda for next month as well.
Probably, and I think it's probably going to be included on that, but maybe have a breakdown of what the, in a worst case scenario, what our expected expenses would be over that 3-year period, and what the redevelopment commission is on the hook for on this thing. What the proposing that the financing that you're proposing, I think would involve a guarantee by the redevelopment commission, which is a whole different legal matter that I know Rob will have to get into. And we'll have to vet that out, so, heads up to all those folks out there that, with the city, that are looking at, kind of watching what we're doing here, so that we want to certainly make sure we disclose all that up front, what we're doing, because basically we're going in as a guarantor probably of it. And there's some benefits for us doing that, I would expect, maybe in terms of rate and so forth, just in terms, because we pick up the interest expense, I believe, on this, so it might save us some money, as opposed to going through just traditional financing on that, so. Okay, well, again, I think if we can, I think it's just helpful to maybe establish a timeline, kind of, not one that we think is a reasonable one to hit, and I think that would help everybody involved in it, and then kind of a breakout of what we're gonna see in the way of expense on this thing, what we're gonna ask for and so forth, and of course, I know all this will come about. And like Krista said, there's 2 firms interested in listing this. I know one of them is Don Tribeck's firm. Is there, you know who the other one is?
No.
Okay, all right, so that'll be possibly something else that we need to consider as well. Any other questions regarding the shell dock? Okay, we'll move on then, and next one is an update on the 55 West Madison Street. Keith, I'll kick it to you on this to kind of start this off.
Okay, yeah. Since we met last in our update in our previous meeting, we've met again. We have John and Lisa in the room, and which if they want to come up to the podium, question, we can do that. But what has happened since the last meeting, John and Lisa have gone back. They've met with additional builders, architects, designers on the building. And probably not unsurprisingly, some things have changed from what the original thoughts were, as far as not necessarily what the use of the building is, because we still think our primary use is restaurant, fine dining. I think that remains, that's still the focus. But what has happened is some thoughts originally were that the kitchen for that restaurant would be in the basement of that building. They after some discussion, have decided that hiring staff might become difficult if you're climbing up and down stairs to serve out of a basement kitchen. So what's being looked at right now is the possibility of adding some additional square footage to that building on the south side, on the back side of that building, that would encompass the new kitchen for the restaurant. And from a scope perspective, we're talking about now a restaurant that potentially can be the size of Chili's or an Applebee's, that type of size of restaurant. What has happened with that then is that the basement part of that building would become more of a multi-use office building, not really declared at this point, but really opens up the possibilities. And as not unexpected, with that, obviously costs have come up. And I think we're still in the process of trying to figure out what those numbers actually are. And John and Lisa have, they continue to do their due diligence, continue to meet with builders and architects. And based on our interest level, are very willing to go forward with that pursuit. And that our expectations would be that we would have a full-blown presentation in February for the RDC. So that, I think that brings you up to speed as sort of where we're at today. John, Lisa, do you have anything? Do you want to go to the podium for any reason? Do you have a question?
We can, but I think you did a good job.
Yeah, we're happy to if you'd like, if there's questions or.
John, you can answer from right there.
Okay.
Do you have a ballpark, you were gonna meet with some other architects, have they come up with any kind of a ballpark number or increase? in your original proposal?
And why don't we go ahead?
Okay.
Come on up and.
Thank you.
And then we can kind of, provide a little bit more of the context on it. I think as Keith said, as we started taking a look at that arrangement, the kitchen being potentially in a built-on addition provided a lot of benefits, a lot more possibility for utilization on the basement and so on. The increase that we've seen has been really driven by three things. One, the cost of the addition. Second, finishing out the basement. And third, the scope of the major mechanicals, the HVAC and so on. And so what they're looking at this point is we'd originally talked about 800, I think, for the building, and that would go up to about 1.2 for the building.
But these numbers are still preliminary.
Yeah.
But one thing that's important about, or that the addition achieves, not only the kitchen and getting rid of more expenses that you incur because you're trying to work the hoods and ventilation, all that kind of stuff into lower ceilings and things like that. It also gives us room to put in the new bathrooms. And so that way we can have new water supply lines, new sewers, everything. We're not having to cut through the basement floor to put in the drains. So our builder is telling us that would be really a great benefit and much more efficient than trying to renovate the old building for that. So that's a big piece, in addition to the kitchen, that goes into the new addition portion.
Right. We'd originally hoped that there'd be more reuse, but at least the recommendations we're getting so far is to look at complete replace on the electric and pretty much a complete replace on the plumbing, all the way from the water main in to the sewer main out. So the addition allows you to separate out love and the plumbing. So in terms of construction, the ballparks at this point, again, they're tentative, and we're working to figure those out, is 1.2 to 1.3 on the building itself. The restaurant, I think we had originally said might be about 225. That may be more like 325 to 350. And again, these ballparks, we're trying to be somewhat conservative, given that we've already seen the increase in costs. Hopefully, there might be some ways to look at, is there any way to contain those kinds of costs. But in terms of the benefit side of it, it's essentially like picking up another 3,000 square foot office building downtown. It's, the addition, we're not sure whether it's 1,500 square feet, 1,700 square feet, but it's a significant new construction in Franklin downtown as well. And really, back to the economic models we talked about in terms of the size of the restaurant, the question is, particularly if we're trying to keep that main floor open without a long partition, is it something that can be supported with a restaurant that's 50, 60 seats, or does it really take more like 100, 120 kind of seats to really support that first floor So those are the kinds of things that we're looking at, thinking about, and some of the impacts that we see from potentially looking at what we hope to be an optimal use of the building. But, you know, as Keith said, we're continuing to work on those numbers. We want to keep working with the committee, but we also want to be able to be in a position where you're fully informed and can give us informed feedback as well in terms of, you know, the direction, strategy, scope of the project.
While these numbers have significantly increased, again, they're rough numbers, they're still in line if you go and look at what it's taken to construct Chili's and Applebee's and restaurants like that. So when you increase the size, obviously you increase the cost. But we think that when we're talking with the different experts, we think that this is, has in mind the best end uses for this building.
Well, and I think the exciting thing after this last meeting, and I think something that just ought to be, you know, really kept in mind, is, but like you said, we've added another 3,000 square feet, or potentially added another 3,000 square feet of office building downtown. And as we all know, we start running a little bit short of that here, and also gives them sort of a second income potential for this building, whereas before we were really looking at this as being a single purpose building. And so I think while the costs are going up, I think we've also changed the whole scope of this project and made it even bigger and better.
So we'll see a little more next week, next month, then I'll take it.
Thank you.
Any other questions regarding this? I believe we have Jeff Mercer with us to talk about FDC.
Good morning. Jeff Mercer, Franklin Community Schools, current president of the FDC, and I appreciate the opportunity to be here today. As you are all aware, FDC's undergone pretty significant transition in the past couple of years from the initial allocation of dollars from the RDC, and our board, which is comprised, if you're not aware, of Angela Coy, Lisa Jones, Steve Woods, David Bedwell, who's here, Mike Denny, and Kim Minton, have done a good deal of work in that period of time on a whole litany of fronts, and not the least of which is about a year ago we underwent a strategic planning initiative led by Kim Minton, and we identified 5 target goal areas. And those target goal areas, and by the way, Krista's going to scroll through a presentation that we did at a community event in October that some of you were able to attend. At any rate, the 5 goal or target areas are awareness, which is the heightened awareness of our mission; stewardship, which is responsible steward of all funds; impact, all FDC actions will have a strategic outcome; development, which is to broaden our base of financial support; and capacity, which is cultivating positive community change. And if you've attended a board meeting, you'll know that our board meeting is really outlined by those 5 target areas, and we have board members assigned to each one of those in an attempt to move things through. Our board meetings are quicker than they used to be because most of the work's being done between times that we're together. And there is a lot of activity going on with the FDC. Clearly, of those 5 target areas, the ability to change and affect growth in our community is clearly tied to the effective and responsible distribution of funds, most generally allocated by the RDC. During the time that I've been involved, which is about 2 years, we have been an extension of the city of Franklin, certainly working closely with the mayor and being conduit for him. We work closely with you on a variety of projects, and some of those partnerships include the 351 East Jefferson building, which stood vacant for years and years now, has tenants, Hoosier Brewing, D2S Labs, and potentially the old City Hall building. And that's a transformation in and of itself over the last several years. We didn't used to do those types of things, and now we have the ability to do that. We're happy to continue to partner. Current programs for us include our facade grants, commercial and residential loans, as we've done for many years, some of the special projects I just outlined, and one that's begun this past year are tax sale properties. We've now received from the county 6 properties that we will put back on the tax rolls or donate to Habitat for Humanity. It's taken some time to get that off the ground, but we're fully functional, and those properties will likely move this year, and we're excited about that. So today I'm here to request consideration of an additional infusion of programmatic dollars. And I mention programmatic dollars simply because we worked out at your request and really our desire strategy from 2016 to 2020 to provide all operational dollars on our own. And we are well on our way to making sure that that is both in place and has an opportunity to continue maybe even beyond 2020, so that any dollars that are given to the FPC are given fully to programming. And $500,000 sounds like a great deal of money, but honestly, it can go pretty quickly. As I'm standing in front of you today with what we have in the pipeline, we will have expended virtually all of that with the exception of about $75,000. And that can be, depending on the requests we have, that can go about 1 more month. And so in conversations periodically with Bob, we waited until we've expended the bulk of our dollars. If we wait much longer, we're going to be in a position where we don't have dollars to grant to facade or commercial residential loans, things of that nature. With that being the case, last year we requested $500,000, and you were kind enough to grant that. We have expended, as I mentioned, all of those funds with the exception of about $75,000. I am here today to request your consideration over the course of the next month of infusing an additional $500,000, which we believe we can and will use during that period of time. And so, with that being said, I'll turn it to you and be happy to answer any questions you may have about FPC or what's going on there, or anything else for that matter.
Krista, go back to that slide you had where those houses were. Is it fair to say, Jeff, that's a big priority for you folks in the coming year? Are these homes that you're going to, I know that there's been a lot of steps to go through to get acquisition of these, and you're near that point or even at that point now where you have, the FTC has possession of these, or actually is in control of these properties?
We are. It is a big focus for us for two reasons. One is it provides additional operational dollar opportunities for us to sustain ourselves so we don't have to go outside. But beyond that, and probably most importantly, it gives us an opportunity with these properties to return these to the tax rolls of Franklin, some of which have been off the tax rolls for 10, 20 years, or to provide the opportunity for Habitat for Humanity to utilize areas, even vacant spaces, to build homes and do something productive.
I'll direct this question to Krista. Typically, Krista, what would be a process in terms of how the money would flow on one of these properties? In other words, would that be something the FTC would do, or would you engage how would that work?
Well, we have a task force, property recovery task force, that Ronnie heads up for us, that we would put these properties out as far as what's available once we have a free and clear title on them. And then we would basically offer them up for sale. We would request proposals. We would want to know, and we have a long list. She's compiled a long list of people that have expressed interest in some of these properties. And so we would want to know what's their budget for the project, who's their contractor, are they going to remain single-family residential, are they, what are the plans for the property, and then that committee would choose based on those criteria. There's a whole list of criteria, and it may not be the highest, amount offered for the property, but, if somebody's going to put twice as much into a property versus someone else that's just going to do the minimal repairs, that, we would choose at that point who we would sell those properties to. So, it's not our intent to hold on to these properties for any length of time. We want to try to minimize, mowing costs and, maintenance, those kinds of things, but to get them back to where they're paying taxes and on the tax rolls and construction work is being done. Now, those property owners, new potential, could apply for any of our other programs. There are some income restrictions to the residential loan and grant program that they could make application if they met those criteria. And some of them, and depending on their various conditions, we may or may not need to offer assistance towards the rehab of the properties, but I think we're gonna address that on a case-by-case basis, so.
That assistance would be in the form of either grant and or loans or?
Correct.
Okay. So that's really where the funds would go.
For the residential
for the
portion.
residential portion.
And there's always the commercial revolving loan fund and then the commercial facade grant program as well.
And our process to go through this is that we would need, maybe I'm getting ahead of myself, because you folks might have some questions, but I think we would need a resolution to advertise and have it on the agenda for the next month's meeting. Is that correct?
Correct.
And I think the only thing, I've had the opportunity to speak with members sort of individually, and one of my concerns was, or my, I guess it's not really a concern, but I wanted to know was from the operating side of it. And I think the long-term operating expenses of the FTC are set in place. And so I think that was the important component to going forward with what we were doing. And I think that part was in place, is very good. And obviously, you know, we've done a lot with the facade side of this. There's, I think, target properties that are remaining that we need to hit. And so I think it's a great program that we continue with.
Thank you, Keith. I agree, and that was loud and clear from all of you that we do that. Actually, coming out of 2016, we're in a little better shape operationally than what I had anticipated. Of course, given how the finance got out, but I was being pretty conservative, but we're in pretty good shape. So.
Well, I for one will state my support of funding the FDC, because you folks bring in a high level of planning, a high level of accountability, a high level of transparency. I think it's run at a high level. It just seemed like all the way across the board, and I think you represent what we want to try to do very well. So that's just my input into this.
Jeff, I have a question of, will you be presenting us a budget of the $430,000 you're spending and the operations prior to the next meeting?
We certainly can. We have that in place, and be happy to bring that or give it to you immediately.
As part of this presentation, it's just really hard to read it up on
It
the
is.
screen, so I can send this to you, so you can look at it. And
I'm
then-
doing this exactly the same thing Richard has.
Absolutely.
Were you going to send out that presentation that's up there, Kristen?
Yes, I can.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions?
On the 430 or 530, do you have I hate to call it a wish list, but a proposed project list, or how you anticipate spending that?
What we do, we have targeted areas that we've sent out lots of flyers, letters to those areas that we feel most strongly need to be addressed and handled. Some of what we get in is beyond that. You can't anticipate that, and that's great. But certainly up and down the Jefferson Street corridor is a primary concern to us. But really even extending out toward the east side now, as that's become more of a reality for us. Yes, we do have a list, thanks to Ronnie and Krista, who we work very closely with, and they do a great job. And they are on top of all those properties, and they help the board navigate that very aggressively.
Jeff, you touched on this earlier. You folks are not coming in on an annual basis. You're basically coming in as on a new basis. You had funds available last year, and you could have came in last year, but you did not do so.
Right, yeah, that's right. We're just reaching a point where we can see a couple months out. We probably are about out.
I think what we're looking for then is a motion to authorize those responsible to prepare documents for a resolution and do whatever necessary advertising is needed in order to do so.
I'll make that motion.
A motion by Fox,
Second.
a second by Paul Beating. Any discussion? Those in favor of approval of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion approved. See you next month. Okay, we're gonna kind of walk through something here. Kristen's gonna take us through a resolution for involving the red carpet property. And I think this is maybe kind of new for a lot of us, so we're gonna need to kind of absorb this and then talk about it, because I think it has some ramifications of what could occur out on the east side, frankly. So
That's true. So this is a late addition to your agenda, so I apologize. This is somewhat of a timely matter. I think you all are aware of the red carpet property on the east side of Franklin near the interchange where the city had demolished the actual red carpet and placed a lien on the property, and that's sat vacant for a number of years. It's been up for tax sale a number of times. The amount of taxes and liens that are on that property are $358,218.86. And so therein lies the reason that it has not been purchased at tax sale. I think 48% of that is City of Franklin liens, and 52% approximately of that are Johnson County property tax liens. So we have a fairly equal share of interest in that property with the county. This resolution is being presented to you today as kind of a backup plan. This property has been in discussion. An interlocal agreement was proposed to the commissioners in February of 2016, so almost a year ago, to try to encourage them to deed this property or go through the certificate process like we just talked about with some of the residential properties. There are some logistics of that as far as some trade-offs that they're looking for in the way of easements for parking and things like that. So those details are being finalized. Our interim mayor, Barnett, has been in conversation with those commissioners to try to get that agreement finalized and signed. They have set this for a special commissioners hearing on February 14th, where anyone from the general public could come and bid on this property, including us as the city of Franklin. We're hoping to have this worked out to where it doesn't get to that point on the 14th of February. But if for whatever reason we can't reach an agreement, we are proposing a resolution to you today as kind of a backup plan that if we had to go to that commissioner's sale and purchase the property ourselves through the Redevelopment Commission, that we would have the ability to do that. That would in essence keep any other developer that may have an interest in the property from purchasing the property and interfering with our overall economic development plan for that area. I think that you're all familiar with the plan that was approved, the economic development plan that was approved last year for that piece of property was included in that. There's been a great deal of time and money spent on the planning of that area, and so this is just kind of a safety net as far as we're hoping we can come to some sort of resolve. But if we can't, this is the backup plan that would hopefully keep that plan in place and moving forward. So I would suggest that if we did approve this, that we would increase the amount to give us some leeway to bid higher than what is actually due on the property, just in case there is other interested parties. I don't anticipate there being, since it hasn't sold at tax sale. But if it does get to that point and we come to an agreement at the February meeting, we could immediately rescind this resolution and clear it from our books as well. So it's just something for your consideration. I think it would be a wise decision to do this today, just to kind of give us that safety net that we need to ensure the plan.
Your resolution states that it comes out of bond proceeds.
Yes.
Okay.
I have two questions, Krista. What about the Lee's Inn property, which is along the edge, and the Vanderbilt building that is there on the corner?
So those are the additional, so the Lee's Inn parcel was purchased at tax sale last year by Pete Rimmer. That has a year for redemption, so if they don't redeem that property by October of this year, he becomes the owner of that property. So that's kind of a transitional piece right now as well, something that we should be considering. And then the Vanderbilt property is, something that we would need to negotiate with that property owner. We have not begun those negotiations with them yet.
And I've actually spoke to Ray Vandiver, and he, at this point in time, is just sort of in limbo for him, because he said he's not had any negotiations with anybody on that property, but, I think he's open to that.
party.
This piece is really the key piece to that east side of the Paris bypass development. There's a lot of people kind of wondering and waiting, on who's gonna have ownership of that property, and once, if the city does receive that tax certificate, you know, who we are going to negotiate with for, who that gets awarded to.
I'm a little confused on this, Krista. The ground that we're talking about on this is not the same ground that was torn down by the city. It is, and Pete Grimmer bought in a tax sale, the lease in sight. Is that those 3 buildings up
No, there's a narrow strip on the other side of that drive,
on the north side or
Sorry, on here.
west side.
west side?
West side of that, and it extends down into that.
It's just a very small
Yeah.
parcel that they, I think, honestly kind of proud about.
Yeah, it's just a narrow strip that comes down. It actually does encompass part of that frontage road, because that frontage road that goes in front of the Vandenberg building is really not a dedicated, it's not state street, so it does come down through there.
Now, hypothetically, if the redevelopment commission does obtain this, then it could either be used in the way of a grant or in a way of actually selling the property to a developer at some point in the future. I don't know how that would we expect to possibly
Krista, that
recoup some of this?
if we come up here with, I just picked a number of $400,000 for this bond, 48% of that's gonna come back to the city anyway.
That's correct.
Just
Whoever buys it, some of that's gonna come back anyway.
48%.
So this is the piece that we're talking about that's going to the commissioner's sale. And then this is the other parcel that sold, well, maybe, my computer won't work, but to the west of here, that little sliver is where, that was purchased by Pete River and tax sale last
And
year.
you see it extends down all the way
All the
down
way
on
down.
that frontage road and then all the way to the back of that property.
Okay. Right, just to the right of the Burger King. Wow.
Which, my understanding is there's a permanent egress easement already in place for that, for the frontage road part of it. Whether or not that stays in place, I mean, that frontage road as we move along here, I don't know, but it appears that might. So in reality, going back to what Richard just said, in reality, the monies that we technically need, I mean, because as I said, 48% is coming back to us. Do we need to approve that to include our 48%? Do you believe, okay, so that should include, even though it's going to come back to us, should include that?
I think it should.
Okay.
It comes back to the city and not necessarily the redevelopment commission, or back to the bond fund, I guess. And I know that there's a good likelihood, or at least there's a reasonable likelihood that this really won't come to pass, because really the issue, I know you probably can't say much, Steve, so I don't want to put you on the spot about this, unless there's something you feel at liberty that you can add, but
Steve Barnett, interim mayor. I can tell you that I've been talking with one of the commissioners, and we are pretty much in an agreement on what that agreement should be. And Glenn Gray and Kathleen Hash are in the process today of trying to write up an agreement that the commissioners will talk about at their next meeting, which I think is next Monday, if I'm
23rd.
the 23rd. And after that, we've already had an interlocal agreement. So the only thing it would take would be a signature of mine to make that happen. So where you guys are at, is that a backstop if something was to fall through there? But I want to say that we're probably 95% sure that we're going to make this happen.
really it boils down to parking, doesn't it?
Yes, and it's pretty favorable. What I see, it doesn't change. I think it's pretty reasonable where we're at, and
So we've already agreed to do anyway.
something we've already agreed to, and it puts a time limit of 25 years on it. If that property is developed, what I see in my eyes and what I've seen with other development plans, that parking would always be there anyway because that's a floodplain. So I'm pretty confident that we're gonna make this happen. And this is a pretty important, part of the vision that we've all had for that area out there.
Since the redevelopment commission still holds title to that, we'd have to sign off on that agreement, I would.
For the
That's,
interlocal.
that's correct, yes,
Interlocal, okay.
yes. And then that property would come back, it would come back to you, it would be your property, so. That's all I
But
got.
just an easement, a parking easement on it
Yes,
through the county.
and it's a parking easement that we've already.
And I can send you copies of that interlocal agreement. I have that from when, it's not really changed a whole lot from February of last year, so you have seen it.
Steve, do you think it's prudent to appropriate a dollar amount for this bond as a backstop for you?
I do, I believe, what Krista said there, I believe she's correct on that. Like I said, just in case something happens and falls through, then we have the ability to go, try to obtain the property.
We have that amount of undesignated money in the bond fund still, we can tap into.
Yes.
Krista, is 400,000 a good number?
I think it is.
It should be less or more?
I wouldn't go any less.
Okay. I would make a motion to appropriate $400,000 of the bond fund to
Thank you, Mayor.
pursue this purchase of the red carpet property.
Okay, we have a motion.
Second.
Okay, any discussion?
One question, and I'm really directing it at Rob, and I don't know if he has an answer. Is it possible to purchase the property by paying only the county taxes? In other words, we would buy it subject to our own taxes, so that literally we didn't have to put the money out and get the money back.
Yes, I think we could potentially be the high bidder by bidding $5,000.
Is this gonna be an absolute sale, and if you know?
I don't know, but I suspect that they will consider having a sale first. And then if that doesn't happen, then they would enter into an agreement with us, which is how we handle the other tax sale.
Okay. But your opinion is that we need to go ahead and appropriate $400,000 just to be safe? Be prepared then.
Yes.
The process we go through in the bond funds is that we don't have to advertise that. We can make that decision today.
Yeah, you've actually already appropriated it, but I thought that you needed to see something in writing, so we put this resolution together.
Okay, so we have a resolution for this. I'm looking off of the old draft of the agenda. I know Krista updated it. Okay.
1706B.
Okay. We're gonna go to
I guess
B.
I'd have to correct my motion to resolution 2017-06B.
Are we reading this by title only, or is it just subject to approval of the redevelopment? We go ahead and read it by title only and then offer it out for public discussion. So I think you need to,
On the bond issue?
You don't
You
have
don't
to.
have to.
You can.
We've done that.
we have typically done it that process in a spirit of keeping it out in front of everybody. So we would probably have to amend your motion to,
I'll amend the motion to read resolution 2017-06B by title only
with the 400,000 in there.
with 400,000 reserved.
Okay.
I'll second that.
Okay, so we have a motion that has been amended. Any discussion? Okay, those in favor of the motion to read by title only, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion is approved. And so we'll now offer it out for comment and discussion on this. Doesn't appear there is any, so I'll declare the public session closed and ask for a resolution, a motion to approve resolution 2017-06-B.
Motion to approve resolution 2017-06B.
Okay. Any other discussion? Those in favor of approval, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Resolution is approved. We'll be,
Well, can we stay on that for just a moment? So you want to consider authorizing someone to act on your behalf at that sale? Just show up and actually make the bid?
I know you've had experience in this kind of matter.
I can do it, Kristen can do it, a member of the commission can do it. I think you just need to authorize.
Why not authorize Rob or Bob or Krista, depending on who's available, things like that? So that you can make the bid.
I think that irregardless, Rob, I think you should be there as legal counsel, and I think if you authorize either Krista or myself, I know one of us could be there. Or both of us would more than likely be there.
Be a wonderful way to spend Valentine's Day. Not sure I would do that any
Funny thing for a tax sale.
I don't think do that one, but I'd still be there, I think, so, okay. Yes, I'm gonna be with Krista on Valentine's Day.
There you go.
Okay. I'd be willing to be there, and I think either one of us could. What day of the week is that?
I
I don't know.
Yeah.
I bowl on Tuesday, so I can't.
I think it is.
Is it Tuesday night? Well, if need be, I would be there, so. Okay. I don't think we need to take a formal action on that, do we, Rob, that designate? Okay, let's do a motion.
I move we authorize Bob and or Krista together or acting separately to enter the bid, and also our council to be present.
Have a motion, is there a second?
Second.
Okay. Thank you, BJ and Keith. Any discussion? Those in favor of approval of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Okay. I would hope that, my expectation is that the interim mayor Barnett will be successful in coming to some understanding, and that hopefully we'll know that long before this date. I know you're in discussion with them right now, and I think that what they're wanting from the redevelopment commission, I think is doable. I don't think it's onerous what they're asking for at this point, and if they're agreeable, then I think we get this done. That's all. Okay. So keep Valentine's Day open. Okay. All right, any other matter on this? Okay, then we'll go into, under other business, we'll move to the financial reports, and we'll let Krista walk us through those.
So this is a little bit updated as far as not only what the expenditures were made in December, but I also added a column on the right-hand side of resolutions that were not encumbered into 2017. So you can see those dollar amounts there. Probably the largest one was the $177,000 from resolution 14-12. There are some other smaller ones. There was some right-of-way acquisition that we didn't do. The Shell building expenses, I mentioned that earlier, so that'll come off, but then that'll go back on at your next meeting. So with all of those encumbrances released at the end of the year, and then we did receive our November property taxes. The amount was $1.575 million. Those funds were received. You can see there the interest that was received for the entire year. So your interest on deposits was $74,029.49. Some NDOT reimbursements there. That leaves you with your cash balance at the end of the year of 2016 at $7,238,618. Are there any questions on the December report?
Okay. Moving on to the TIF bond financial report.
Correct. So these were updated for expenditures that were made in December. Those final numbers are at the bottom as well. Total spent through the end of 2016 was $9,636,996.96. Projects that we have planned for is the 14.8 million. You'll see a few blanks though in that for the resolution numbers. So there are a couple of projects that we have planned for, but we have not actually passed resolutions to approve those funds. I will update that to show the red carpet property on there for your next meeting. Are there any questions on the TIF report?
Okay,
Okay, the next one is the list of resolutions that were encumbered from 2016 into 2017, and I want you to pay particular attention to the bottom, those dollar amounts that were not encumbered. So that first number, not encumbered into 2017, that 1,089,000, that is inclusive of your TIF control fund and your bond funds as well. So that's a little bit misleading as far as we had that large number on the water main relocation project to the Indian American. We had appropriated the 1.35 million and we only spent 944,000. So that leaves us with a balance in that project of 405,000. That project is complete. So there's gonna need to be some cleanup as far as the way the bond projects have evolved. Some of these projects are complete and we can reduce those amounts. So I will have that updated for you. So through the TIP bond, we brought forward into 2017 through projects that are not complete, 3,746,000 encumbered into 2017 through the regular TIF control fund is the 1,179,000. And I have completed all that through the clerk's office, I think now, so we've had lots of back and forth on that, but I think we have that all situated. So are there any questions on the summary sheet?
Krista, we have until the end of this year to expend these funds.
I believe we have until July of 2018. The bond was approved in July of 2015.
about halfway through the process. So we just have to basically commit the dollars, not necessarily spend them.
No, I believe they have to be spent. I could be wrong, but.
I think you're right. That's what I remember it had to be spent.
So we're not far from committing all of the funds to projects. It's just a matter of getting those projects completed.
This is not related to that, but I just want to ask a question. Did I understand it right that Duke matter out there has been settled?
It has been. There's a window to where they have time to appeal that decision as well. That window is closing soon, I hope, but we won't have final resolution on that until that expires, and I believe that's another week or so.
So the appellate court ruled in the city's favor on that?
That's correct, yes.
Krista,
Yes.
this way, there's not actually a settlement, it is the Court of Appeals decision, isn't it? I said there's no settlement in addition to the Court of Appeals decision?
No.
Okay.
That'd be good too, to get that part of it done. Okay. Anything else coming before the meeting? I just want to, I made a statement a moment ago about Krista and I being on Valentine's Day together, but keep in mind, we'll be chaperoned by Rob Shackstall.
The legal counsel have his hands full enough.
Hopefully, we won't even have a date, how's that?
Well.
I better just stop on halfway ahead. Anything else to bring up? I know we have a number of folks here that are involved in a number of things going on. Dr. Clendenny, I know you're here today, behind Jeff, anything going on?
Nope, just wanted to come in, start the new year with some new changes, just to be present again, and it's good to see everybody.
Yeah. Okay. Tara, anything working on your end? I know there is, planning.
Yes, definitely. Gearing up for 2017 events.
Okay. Now, Rob, you're about to have your facade done, or your marquee.
Marquee, yeah, this week will be a big part of getting the last of the electrical things connected for the marquee, so we can get ready for lighting.
Is that all those little yellow lights?
The yellow lights, basically all of the twinkling lights will be ready to go.
Very good.
Bob,
Yeah.
Dan, would you like to, like the board or the RDC commission about the site certificate change of shovel-ready versus site certificate? This is a change in the law.
Hannah Monson, Nelson County Development Corp., just to give you an update. The state of Indiana had previously created a shovel-ready program, which the city of Franklin participated with the Franklin Business Park and the Franklin Tech Park. There were certain requirements that you had to go through in order for your property to be certified shovel-ready, which we did and we maintained. Over the course of time, they realized that there needed to be some updates and changes to make that program a little more effective. So they have essentially done away with the shovel-ready certification, and it is now called a site certification with different levels. So you have a silver, a gold, and a prime. So what JCDC is doing and working with the city of Franklin, with Krista and Ryan and everyone, is to take the properties that we have, the Franklin Business Park and the Franklin the Franklin Business Park and the Franklin Tech Park, and transfer those over into the new program. So we have started that process. We're going to be moving forward and planning in February to come before the city council with some of the costs and the things that we'll need to be doing, but we will need to be updating some of the things like the phase ones and the topos, the geotech, and all of that kind of thing. So we'll make sure that that continues. The value of that is in the marketing, because it does keep those properties on that list of sites certified. It's on its own special website with the state markets those as well as JCDC. So it's a very valuable tool. It's something that we don't want to lose for those two properties. So we will be continuing more, and you will definitely hear more about that in February at the city council meeting. Yeah, any questions about that?
You want to tell them about the binder versus?
Yes, yeah, when we did this before, this started almost 10 years ago. Chris was involved with that too. A lot of things were hard copies, and I have a binder. It's just like, it's a massive binder for each one. One of the nice things about this is that this will all now be electronic. It will be much more easily accessible for companies and site selectors who are wanting to find those, as opposed to contacting me and me sending out copies of some of these giant maps and everything. So that's going to be a wonderful benefit. So we're really excited about that as well.
Good. Okay. Thank you, Dana. Janice, I know you folks got a busy year.
We do. We have a very busy year. Actually, we have a busy February. Our annual awards banquet and meeting is February the 9th at the Indiana Sonic Home Compass Park. We'll have a State of the City address, and we also will give out 3 awards: the Community Impact Award, Community Service, and our Business Hall of Fame. So we're excited about our awards, our award recipients, and we look for a good turnout. That's February the 9th. Also then on February 25th is the Franklin Chamber's annual Cash Bash, and it is again at the Indiana Grand Racing and Casino. And for those who don't know, the funds for our Cash Bash, and it is a fundraiser, those are restricted to our building. Anything in regards to renovations, updates, those kinds of things, those funds are restricted to the building. So we appreciate when people participate and come and have a good time. We've kind of beefed it up a little bit again this year, so I think it's going to be a little bit more fun. So hopefully people can come and enjoy themselves.
Good. Thank you. Rob, I know you didn't mention the social event of the year, and that's your fundraiser on sponsor night on the 4th.
Yeah, we have a sponsorship party on February 4th where we'll unveil a whole new season of movies and cartoons and whatnot. And this year it's going to be spiced up a little bit more with the addition of being able to do your bidding on your phone or smartphone, whatever. And so there's going to be some significant upgrades.
Looking forward to it. And last but not least, interim Mayor Barnett, any
Well, I have been working with all the stakeholders in the community just to assure them that we are moving forward with an outward look. We're not gonna try to stop things. I cannot wait until January 30th at 7 p.m.
imagine it's a long wait.
It is.
All right, thank you. Anybody else? Okay, nothing else to present. Might want to remind everyone that for the next 3 meetings, we'll be starting at 9 o'clock. Okay, 9 o'clock. And I appreciate everybody accommodating me on that. February, March, and April meetings will start at 9. Hopefully it'll be done by 9:30. I don't know, I won't guarantee that.
Make sure you notify us on that next week.
Yeah.
I will.
Keep that in mind, 9 o'clock. Okay, nothing else, we're adjourned. Thank you.